Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Coin Drop Podcast. This is episode 52. And joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, who has definitely been the only co-host for almost, scratch that, for an entire year. Mike, hello. Yep. How's your week been, buddy? Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's been. Yeah?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I've been horrendously sick since, like, the middle of this past Saturday. I don't know what happened, but my tonsils were getting super swollen. And then I came home from work, went to sleep, woke up, and they were worse. So that's kind of been my entire week, is recovering from that. And then I had a fever all day Sunday and like part of Monday morning. So a lot of coma level sleeping. It was pretty great, gonna be honest. Probably the best rest I've had in a long time. And now I'm just dealing with the aftermath and drinking my chicken soup broth.
Yes. In all reality and seriousness, Tim was not available tonight because he has some religious holiday thing going on for his religiousness.
Got like Easter chocolate to eat or something like that.
I don't know what it is, man. I look, it's not my thing. It's his thing. He's doing his thing. But no, Mike is back with us again today. And he will also be editing this episode, so it won't sound like total shit, because my editing skills are total shit.
It wasn't, so. It didn't sound bad. It was
bad.
Quiet.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would take quiet over like crackling and peaking in my ears all day. Especially if I'm like driving or something.
Yeah, it wasn't great. My audio level balance was awful. It sounded good when I was mixing it in my headphones, and then I was listening to it in my work van. I was like, this sounds like ass. Is what it is. I'm not the editor. This show wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Mike, because I wouldn't be doing the editing. So everybody thank Mike for all of his hard work and everything he does to make this show.
Bow down to the power of the editor.
I mean, fuck, realistically.
This is my show. You're just the face, Russ.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You have all edit power, so yeah, you could make me say anything you wanted. So, there's that. Okay, well, let's talk about some games. The Xbox has announced their upcoming Showcase Direct in lieu of E3 show thing that they're doing.
Right.
Yeah. It's going to air direct on June 9th, and similar to kind of what they did last year, if I'm not mistaken, right? With Starfield, where they did an immediate follow-up with a direct, a Starfield Direct or whatever. They're doing that again this year. Yep, but they're redacted what the information is, of course. But if you highlight the text, it actually just says redacted, which is just fucking silly. It's a choice. So I get the idea there. I get it, because they didn't want to like put the actual name and then leak it. Makes sense, but still silly.
Yeah.
So that will be on June 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can find them on YouTube, Twitch. It's all their normal handle things. No big deal. Hey, thanks for the happy anniversary wishes. Thank you. It's awesome. Mike,
muchas gracias.
Yeah, it's been crazy having you here for an entire year. The two of us just making this happen.
Man, what the fuck? It's weird.
I'm sorry, Tim. I love you. I'll miss you. We'll see you next week.
Tim? Who's Tim?
Who's Tim? Tim who? Tim Hole? I don't know. So yeah, June 9th, they're going to be streaming that 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can see all your times on screen, or just search it. YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. They're going to be all the places. I'm sure if you're into gaming news and you're on this podcast, you know where to find them. But the one thing I wanted to talk about is, what the fuck are they going to do the direct on? Because if it was my money, I would say, judging by that image, it's something with The Division. Just
I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat.
Only two I've ever seen. Who is this Tim you mentioned? Yep, exactly. Yeah. Who's Tim?
Tim is an AI.
Tim is an AI that Mike created, which I have questions about, because I've known him since I was 16. So it's you're pretty far ahead of curve, man. That's an impressive level of AI you made. This redacted image, just to me, it says The Division. You have other thoughts? My basis for that is, dude, it's orange. Like that's literally like
fucking toddler level process. Fucking golden retriever brain over here.
I wish I could say I'm joking, but like everything with the Division has been themed orange, right? Like their logos are always
really has.
So like
orange
as soon
and,
as
like,
I
super
saw
bloomy.
it, yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, Division, it's orange. that's
I mean, I guess I see where you're coming from, but Ubisoft is an independent company, and I mean they are developing the new Division Heartland game or whatever the fuck, and then apparently they're also supposed to be developing Division 3 now. But I do think that it is going to be the next Call of Duty Black Ops. From what I remember hearing about, they announced, air quoting for audio listeners, that the next Black Ops game is actually going to be a direct sequel to, I want to say it was Black Ops 2?
Okay. I'll be honest, I have not
at some point
any of them. Not a single one.
Or it might have actually just even be a direct sequel to Black Ops 4. I don't really remember which one. I just know at some point they kind of just skirted off on their own path, and that's kind of why the player base for Black Ops faded off in that generation. But yeah, apparently they are making a direct sequel to the OG Black Ops games, and that is where I think the dog thing is coming from, because it's making me think of, I almost want to say Devil Dogs, but it's Metal Gear Solid, not Black Ops.
Well, all right, yeah, like that is a Cerberus head looking pit bull looking image.
Yeah. So like, I think that it's going to be Call of Duty Direct, and then also just because they own Activision now, so
it's the only thing they can hang their hat on, because apparently they're bringing Halo over, so like,
yeah. And they did announce that they are planning to bring all of the future Call of Duties to Game Pass for Xbox and PC. So it would make sense. It would make the most sense that this would be the next Call of Duty game. But your idea isn't exactly a 0% chance. So it could be either.
Because
that 1% chance could pull through at the last minute.
Look, man, it's orange. That seems all but confirmed to me. Like, what? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But they do say that it's a special deep dive into our next installment of a beloved franchise. So that
to me sounds like COD.
Yeah, I would agree, because I don't think Division is beloved. I think there's some hardcore fans out there for it, but I don't think it's
a niche.
Beloved.
It's a niche series. Yeah.
Also interesting, they're going to be including games from Activision Blizzard, obviously here, and they canceled BlizzCon, so kind of seems like that event is gone, because why have it if you're going to present Activision Blizzard at your Xbox showcase? Yeah, BlizzCon's gone, so. Just makes sense to roll it into their Xbox showcase, right? Like, fucking destroy this, I guess. So yeah, I mean, once you said that, it made more sense that it's probably Call of Duty. But I saw, because if you think about the went orange.
Yeah, well, you also think about the old Black Ops logos from like the Xbox 360 era. They were all orange. They were just the shields, but they were different Roman numerals.
Yep, you're right.
They did say they might bring back BlizzCon in the future.
Yeah, 1% said they might bring it back. Yeah. Yep, I don't see them
doing that. Yeah. It might be like BlizzCon sponsored by Xbox or some shit, but it's just like it's a
my guess
under the actual like Xbox brand.
I could see it being more like an Xbox Direct specific for like Activision Blizzard. So it wouldn't be BlizzCon, it would be Xbox Showcase Blizzard or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what is also cool here, though, that I do want to mention is I love gaming becoming more inclusive in the right ways, which is they're streaming this in 30 different languages, including American Sign Language and English audio descriptions. So that's awesome.
Cool.
But like, there's been this big push in accessibility with controllers, with how the media is presented. It's really cool to see that stuff, so that like you don't have to be an able person to be able to play and enjoy video games. Because for a long time, that was a big hurdle for people. I remember my uncle, he actually is an amputee. He doesn't have any arms. And I remember playing Mario with that guy, and he's playing with his nubs, playing Mario. And I'm like, damn, that's some skill. Like, look, man, that's what he did. He wanted to play Mario. He played with his nubs. I just
imagine you getting your ass beat in Mario Kart. by some dude with
No. It wasn't Mario Kart. It was Super Mario, bro. This was
just
NES
Super Mario.
days. Yeah, I'm old. Remember? It's NES.
Yeah, dude, you're like 90.
Thanks. I feel it. I'm waiting for the Bill Gates WoW character commercial. They did with Mr. T, like they did with
my
Mr. T.
God.
That would, yes. Somebody please make that. Somebody, I'm a night elf mohawk. What
Good
race would
God.
Bill Gates play? What race? He's got to be a gnome, right? Bill Gates is definitely a gnome.
I could see him playing an elf,
You think he'd be an elf?
an elven race of some sort. I don't know if he would play like a high elf. I think he would play a dark elf just based on like the type of character he plays, the morality choices that he gives off. I feel like he would definitely be like a vigilante type of character.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, I mean that's coming up. We got some good stuff to look forward to. The news is kind of light currently because we're coming into the season of massive announcements. But they have also said Microsoft has announced kind of what's coming up for this month in May, coming to Game Pass. So you're getting Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, which kind of surprised me that wasn't already there. Kona 2 Broom on the 7th. Little Kitty Big City, no idea what that is, on the 9th. That sounds, I gotta be honest, man, that sounds like a title. I don't want to click it because it sounds like a title. It's a choice. And Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is coming on the 14th, which, like, of the games that could come wave one, so to speak, of May, that's a surprisingly lackluster lineup.
I do want to do a quick little shout out for Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. That game has been around for a while. Mm-hmm. Very long time. If anybody listening to this or watching in the future has played A Way Out, or what was the other game that
It Takes
partner?
Two.
It Takes Two. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons was actually their first foray into this duplicate control. Obviously, they changed to it being two-player now, but Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons was originally each stick was its own character. So you would play, one stick would be for the bigger brother and the other stick would be for the littler brother. So you would play on your own and control these two characters and try to traverse them through their adventure. And it was a really interesting take on a two-party system with a single-player aspect, but it was also so goddamn aggravating. So if you have Game Pass, or if you want to use a code for a trial or something like that, if you've just been sitting on, I would definitely use it to play Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. It's a good experience. It's worth it.
Yeah. It it's one of those games I've wanted to play for a long time, and I've never sat down and played it. And now it's getting like a remake, right? Or a remaster or something like that?
I think it's supposed to be getting a remaster. I mean, I guess you could call it a remake because I think they are adding the same multiplayer support that's in It Takes Two and A Way Out. So I guess you could call it a remake because they're adding a feature. I mean, a really big feature, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So... yeah, Microsoft, hopefully we'll see some good news. I personally want Fable, and I really hope they fixed their character, because, man, she looked like the guy from Mask, which is... Look, man, I'm not saying everybody in video games has to be attractive, but if I'm going to play a video game, I want my main character to at least be appealing to look at. Male or female, it doesn't matter, but, like...
Are we certain that that's like what we're getting? Like, didn't the other Fable games have some form of detailed character customization?
You had like hairstyles that you could change in the first game. And I think you could choose male or female from 2 forward, but the first game was only male. So the second game forward, I think you could choose male or female. But again, you still only had like hairstyles and then armor and clothing and stuff like that, from what I recall. There wasn't like a character creation. It has been quite a long time since I played those, but yeah. So like, just maybe make them a little bit more appealing if I've got to play the game looking at them the entire time, or stylize it more and make the whole world ugly so it's not so standoutish. I don't know, man. Like, look, it just
put a Gaussian blur on the entire damn screen.
just put a censored bar over everything. I don't know. But yeah, I would like to see more from Fable. So I'm also interested to see what the next Halo game is going to be. If it's going to come direct to PS5. Because they're talking about Infinite coming over real soon. So who knows, man?
It wouldn't be hard to do. I mean, they run on the same hardware. So
yeah.
It's just a matter of porting for one OS.
Yeah. But yeah, Xbox coming up. Another beloved franchise, which is getting another sequel that hopefully will not be shit. I guess I don't really know how to caveat.
Great segue.
This one. Yep. That's what we got. Batman: Arkham Shadow was announced recently, and it is a VR MetaQuest 3 game, not from Rocksteady. I think it's safe to say that Rocksteady is no longer involved in the Arkham universe after their massive failure, in my opinion, of storytelling that is Suicide Squad. Dude, they brought the Joker back, and it's not even the Joker. Like, I saw that. Like, how do they explain that? Because it's supposed to be the Arkhamverse, and that is not Joker from the Arkhamverse. So I don't know what the fuck that is. So, yeah. Mike's putting his hands up and he's walking away. He's turning off his computer. He's giving up, guys. He's giving up. So Arkham Shadow. Not a lot is known about this right now. I saw something recently that said keep an eye on June 9th, I believe. June 7th, excuse me, during the Summer Games Fest. Yeah, rip, Kevin. Yep. So that's we're actually going to talk about that 1%. I have a theory about this game because it seems to me this is actually going to be a sequel to where Arkham Knight ends. I'm assuming that. I don't have anything off of this directly to base that off of, but we already had Arkham Origin, which was a prequel. We had Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, and then we had this shit-ass VR game that released on PSVR, Batman Arkham VR, which was absolute trash, so I really hope this isn't
I wouldn't even call it a game.
Yeah, it was tech demo at best. I hope this isn't that. I hope this is more in line with what we saw Ubisoft do with Assassin's Creed. Because that game is fantastic, and I would love to see Batman. I don't know how they're going to make the combat work in this with VR. Like, that's the thing where I'm like, maybe, right?
Yeah.
It's a different studio. I don't know who Camouflage is. I don't know their credentials. I didn't get a chance to look into them.
They sound familiar, actually.
I'm sure they've made other stuff. If you want to look them up while I chat. Here's my thought. Obviously, for anybody who knows, like, C-list Batman villains, it seems like it's leaning very heavily towards Ratcatcher. If you guys have watched the Suicide Squad movie or TV show, I think they're both in that as well. Apparently, Ratcatcher actually dies in Arkham Knight. I don't remember that, but apparently that's a thing. So this could be Ratcatcher 2, which is the one we saw in the Suicide Squad movie. Obviously, those aren't connected directly. Yeah, it's pretty B tier. It's definitely a niche villain for sure. I don't think this is Bruce Wayne. I think this is post Arkham, and what we're seeing is Dick Grayson taking over the cowl as Batman. Now, there's two reasons I think that's a really great decision. 1% already kind of nailed on it. Kevin Conroy is dead. I don't care who you are. He is Batman. He will always be Batman. There's one voice that Mike and I kind of agree on who could replace him, but we'll get to that. But I think the right choice here would be Batman's gone, Dick Grayson has taken over, and we're seeing, like, Dick Grayson being Batman. Gives him the opportunity to get a new voice actor to be Batman that isn't Bruce Wayne, and you're still following that Arkham line. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. What'd you find on Camouflage?
Camouflage, they actually made technically 2 games, but I guess you can call it 3. Okay. They made the Iron Man VR game for the MetaQuest 2 and for the PlayStation VR. For those that haven't played it, it was kind of clunky, but not so much that it was unfun. It definitely had its appeal. Okay. It was a really good, I mean, compared to the other fucking Iron Man games that we got in like the last 20 years, they were fucking awful. The Iron Man VR game was actually really fun to play. They also made Republic,
interesting,
which I think is that's
a RTS city builder, isn't it?
Escape from Totalitarian State and this stealth thriller that so it's a stealth third person.
I must be thinking of a different game.
Yeah, it all the artwork. I haven't played it, but a lot of the artwork that I've seen on it and stuff is very reminiscent of
Metal Gear.
Yeah, and then also kind of I'm trying to remember the name of the games, and it's embarrassing because I've played them. They were all underwater. You protect a little girl. Her name's Lilith.
No idea. Let's see. 1%.
I forget what they're called.
Battlezone RTS from a decade ago that I think could work in a VR game. I think RTSs are an undertapped franchise in VR in general.
Yeah.
I think they could be a lot of fun in VR personally.
But yeah, they made that, and then they made a VR version of Republic later on.
Well, Republic's got 761 reviews on Steam, mostly positive.
BioShock, that's what I was thinking of. The art style is reminiscent of like Metal Gear and BioShock.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
I don't know. I think with the way that they took the Iron Man VR game, I think that they do have a good foundation that they could start with the Batman Arkham Shadow game. I don't see myself getting a MetaQuest 3 for this game. So, like, if it comes out on PC at some point, that'd be fucking great. Maybe I'll play it then. But I'm kind of with you, like, the Arkham games, like, I'd rather, if you're just gonna fucking ruin them, then just leave them alone. Like, just make a new universe. Like,
yeah.
I say that, but Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League is, like, fucking awful.
Yeah.
Make a new universe that isn't Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's just a couple of things about it that kind of stand out to me that make me think, like, it's not Bruce Wayne. It doesn't... We've already done Origin, so it doesn't feel right to go back and, like, go between Origin and Arkham City again. It's called Arkham Shadow, which to me kind of feels like it fits in after Arkham Knight, the way that it ends. That title kind of ties into the ambiguous ending of Arkham Knight. But like,
plus Shadow to me kind of sounds like, you know, Batman's dead, so someone else is picking up the mantle, kind of thing, and now Gotham is living in the shadow of
Batman. Yeah.
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 So I could absolutely see where you're coming from with Dick Grayson. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily being ready to take up the mantle, but kind of being forced into that position. Right. So that kind of leads me into like a new like potential story plot theory where it would be super interesting if they went the route that what's his face, the Twilight kid that is playing the Batman now in the movies.
Edward,
it's
what's his name?
Yeah.
He actually did a good job. I think he did a really good job in that movie.
It's portraying a really young Bruce Wayne. He doesn't understand all of the aspects of, being the Batman yet, and he's still dealing with a lot of that like pent up depression, and like it's dark. It's meant to be dark. It's meant to be fresh. It's meant to be really cringe because again, it's new Batman. Mm-hmm. So I can see them going a route with Dick Grayson picking up the mantle and understanding kind of what he needs to do based on the fact that he was Nightwing for so long. Yeah. But Nightwing and Batman are also very two separate people morality-wise. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that if that's the route that they're taking.
Yeah, Shadow also, like, you could imply, like, well, Dick Grayson is living in Bruce Wayne's shadow, right? Like, so that's the other way you can take it is Dick Grayson is trying to step out of the shadow of Batman and or out of the shadow of Bruce Wayne and be a different Batman, be a better Batman. Which, I'm a Bruce Wayne fan, so, like, good fucking luck, but...
1% says, imagine if they made an Outlast game, but you're just a regular security dude in Arkham Asylum. Jesus Christ.
Somebody probably pitched that to somebody, and they said, no, it's too much of a risk. But, yeah, probably a great game. Yep. Oh, man. Could you imagine Zaz? Like, Zaz gets out, and you're just an average guard just trying to survive as Zaz is, like, ripping your friends. Oof. That sounds like a nightmare, dude. Zaz is, like, low-level villain, too. So, like...
Yeah.
Killer Croc gets out and just, like, shreds people. Nope.
I'm good. I quit. See ya. I'm resigning now.
Here's my keys. Bye.
Jesus Christ.
I'm watching. I pulled up the Iron Man video game, and I'm kind of looking at that, and yeah, I mean, I can see they have some of the groundwork here for like flying and gliding as Batman potentially, but this looks
Also, the gauntlet controls are like really, like you look at the gameplay and you can see where I kind of mean like it's clunky, but it's not so much that it's unfun.
It seems like it'd be fun, but it also seems like it's Superman in 64. Like it almost has that. It almost has that fly through the hoops vibe to it. Like,
Yeah,
almost
a little bit. Yeah.
Granted, this is probably
that
just
was
like
their
the training
first.
tutorial shit, but
That was also their first game. Their first game, I think, was the Iron Man VR thing.
Gotcha.
So not only was it their first game, but they chose to make a VR game as their first foray into a game development.
Yeah, before VR was like even really all that big, because this is fairly old at this point, if I'm not mistaken. But speaking of voices, right? So if they're doing Batman, let's say I'm wrong completely, which, you know, I admit it. I'm often wrong. Got no problem with that. If they are doing Batman, I think we can both agree there's one person that should be doing the voice for Batman for any
Jensen
animated or
Ackles.
voice. Yep. Moving forward, I 100% agree. The man just has the voice. It's yeah. So
for those that aren't aware, Jensen Ackles, he played Dean Winchester in the Supernatural movies, TV shows. Jesus Christ!
You know, they might as well have been movies.
They might as well make a fucking movie. They could.
He's also Soldier Boy, you know, which is by far his better role in my opinion.
Absolutely. You know what's funny is when I heard that he was going to play a whacked out superhero on The Boys, I was like, how is he going to do that? And then I went back and I was rewatching Supernatural and like the Demon Dean section rolled through and I was like, oh yeah, he could absolutely play Soldier Boy. But he ended up doing a 2-part animated series. I think it was Batman the Long Night, the Long Halloween. I forget the exact title, but it takes place.
Did he do the Doom that came to Arkham? Was that him?
No, he played Batman. He played Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Right. The movie was the Doom that came to Gotham or something like that.
Oh, Doom. I think it's the Long Night, Halloween, the Long Night, Part 1 and 2. I know for a while he also voiced Dick Grayson in one of the other animated series alongside of Kevin Conroy.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure it was called The Long Night. It was a two-part series, and he actually played the voice for both Bruce Wayne. He does
Batman for Crisis on Infinite Earths.
He does, and I have to watch Crisis on Infinite Earths now
as well as the Long Halloween.
Yep. Didn't Neil Patrick Harris do Nightwing for a good while? I believe he did. Yeah. There was a few in there which I thought was really funny because he has like a very particular type of voice, and I feel like Nightwing, like it was weird hearing him play Nightwing. Like he has more of a Robin voice than a Nightwing voice.
Yeah. He did Dick Grayson in Batman Under the Red Hood. Neil Patrick Harris.
So I think Jensen Ackles could absolutely make his way into the voice acting side of Batman games and just.
The show.
I mean, you can't match Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy was just so fucking good. But if I was gonna pick someone to take the mantle from Kevin Conroy, I would say Jensen Ackles, for sure.
For voice acting, absolutely. I mean, it's like Nathan Fillion doing Hal Jordan for the Green Lantern animated stuff. Like, he does such a great job, and there's been rumors that he's going to play like an older Guy Gardner at some point in the TC, which I would pay to see. I would pay to see Nathan Fillion be Guy Gardner. Like, I love that guy. He's so good. But the
other thing I can see them doing with this is. With Kill the Justice League, we've kind of established that it's its own universe. So they are doing multiversal exploration now at this point in the video games. It's fucking Kevin Feige. So I could totally see them taking this and it being a weird like multiversal thing as well. If that makes sense. I don't know. We'll have to see when it comes out.
Yeah. We'll see more on the 7th. At the Games Fest, see what the game is. I hope it's more than the last time they tried to do a Batman Arkham VR game because it was just trash. VR's come a long way, and I'm again, man. I stand by it. Assassin's Creed Nexus is a phenomenal VR experience. Just literally, like, I can't praise that game enough, and it's really disheartening that Ubisoft looks at it as a failure. Because, God, it's so fun. It's so stupid fun, and Batman could be just as good. The fact that it's coming to Meta Quest 3 exclusively, I hope it's a timed exclusive. I've said it before. Exclusivity is great for consoles. It's not great in niche markets. So it coming exclusively, again, like Assassin's Creed, exclusively to one headset is not usually good for, you're basically cutting yourself at the knees for
Yes. And it'll probably repeat where they're going to come out and say that it didn't sell that good. But you guys made the choice to make it a one-sided exclusive.
I mean, it's entirely possible Meta basically said, you're going to make this, here's $10 billion. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be, not, like, they've got stupid money like that, but not crazy, not maybe that, but, like, Meta has so much weight that they can throw around and just buy shit.
More or less, yeah.
I hope it's a timed exclusive, if it's any kind of exclusive, personally. So,
I guess we'll see. I don't really have any other thoughts on it.
Yeah. June 7th, Summer Gamescom. It's coming up quick. Let's talk about another game that, Mike, you've had some hands-on experience with this one. I haven't, but I've been interested in it. I'm always a fan of extraction shooters. So why don't you tell us about Grayzone Warfare?
So Grayzone Warfare is an interesting take on an extraction shooter because, yes, it does have a lot of the ideology and the feature set of Tarkov and the mechanics. When you play the game, you can feel it, especially if you've played Tarkov. But the world is persistent. There is no overworld UI area where you like pick what you need to get into and then you click matchmake and go from there. You start your character. You pick a faction. There's 3 factions. Each faction has their own corner of the map, essentially. After that, you load into the faction base, and you are given a starter kit. And from there, you basically open a little menu that has all your vendors and stuff, and you can shop or pick up missions. After that, you call in a helicopter by opening your map and then picking a drop point somewhere on the map wherever your mission is. A helicopter will come in and take you to that point, and it's all persistent. There's no loading screens. It's so great. I love how intuitive it is to get from like where you started to where you need to be and have no loading screens for anything. It's all just right there. So then you land in your drop zone or whatever, run off and do your mission, and it doesn't hold your hand. It tells you the coordinates of where roughly the quadrant where you're supposed to be in the world, and the rest is up to you to figure it the fuck out. So like one of the early missions is you have to go and pick up some medical supplies, and it's in quadrant like 166 and then dash, and it's like 223 or something like that. But that quadrant can cover like a 2 square mile little block in that part of the map, and you have to sit there and go through each part, clear the houses, clear whatever areas you're running through, making sure that there's no NPCs or enemy players. And it's super tactical. It's slower. It's heavier. It's not like COD Modern Warfare 2 slow. I would say it's honestly probably heavier. You can sprint.
Yeah, all of those Call of Duty games are always fast paced.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2 was weird because it was slower than the rest of them, but not like super slow. No. This one still has some like semi-instantaneous, like pulling the rifle up to your eyesight so you can scope really quick. But there is a definite feeling of you're carrying about 100 pounds worth of shit on top of whatever you have to loot. Because armor plates weigh a lot. You're a veteran. You would know.
I haven't had the luxury of wearing level 4 plates, but yeah, I have worn a level 2 plate, and I haven't worn a plate carrier, but I've worn a plate. I've worn a safe light vest, things like that, which are like level 2 ballistic resistant, stab resistant vests. Those are fairly light, but like when you start getting like real ballistic plate carriers and stuff like that, yeah, you're looking. Chris would know more than I would if he was here. He'd pipe in, but I would say probably 50, 60 pounds at least unloaded from, magazines and things like that. Yeah.
It shows in the game as you play. There's also like the little fucking bars and stuff, so like you can see how much you're carrying versus how much, like whatever your max carry limit is. And as you start to get into like the higher level items, obviously you're going to get bigger backpacks. You're going to be able to carry more because your character is going to be more capable. There is PvE only modes if that's something you want to go and do that, if that's more your thing. I am doing that currently just because I want to take a few hours, probably upwards of 20 hours, to just really understand and grasp how the game plays before I start to try and just go into PvP and just get mauled by everybody else. It does have its quirks. There's a lot of it's an early access game. Like,
yeah, that's honestly,
the game does look beautiful,
there,
but
that right there is what's keeping me from like immediately buying it. Though it is priced like an early access game should be. It's $39.99, right? Like it's.
I think it's $34 if you just get the base game.
Gotcha.
And it's like Tarkov, where you can get the base edition and then you can get the upgrade for like whatever the difference in cost would have been. So like if you get the base edition and then you go up one edition, I think the cost is like $15 or $20 is the difference. So you would just pay that $15 and then you would get the perk. Back to the persistent world thing. So you go out, you landing your drop zone, go complete your mission, whatever you need to do, and you go back. And again, no loading screens. You just call in a helicopter, you go back to your home base, you hand in the quest, and you get a reward. And the fact that there is no loading screen at any point after you leave the main menu and it stays completely persistent, and the AI, like when you roll through, they respawn, they'll be kitted differently based on how you interacted with them in the previous round. So if you go through and be guns blazing, they're going to be carrying more armor plates. They're going to be carrying bigger guns. There's one type of NPC that I run into really frequently from other players in the PvE environment that just run through guns blazing. They run out in full fucking like kitted up as best as a civilian can be kitted up with an LMG, and it takes a minute to get to them. That's the other thing that I really like, is that there's different types of NPCs. So like you have your standard like civilians that have just been through the shit. They've managed to find kit and they fight back. But then there's also underground bunkers and shit like that. There's other factions, but they're more like NPC based factions. So as you get into the heavier side of the PvE and find more elite soldiers, they'll be kitted as good as you are. So you actually have to like take your time and make sure that you're not about to get one shot by one of them with a fucking M14, an M416. And there's no visual way to tell like who's who and what's what, aside from like factions. They'll have like a little band or whatever, but there's very minimal UI. So it really engrosses you into the game. And I say that, and I'm using a 50-inch like super ultra wide monitor, so it already engrosses me into the game. But the fact that I'm just gonna keep geeking over this. The fact that everything is so persistent, and
Mike likes persistence.
Yeah, dude, I don't know why I'm so geeked over it, but it's like the fact that there's no loading screens. It kind of reminds me, if you go back to GTA 4 when they added in that like thing where you could walk into buildings now and it wouldn't fucking put up a loading screen like in San Andreas, and everybody just lost their fucking minds over that. Yeah. It was such like a minuscule thing at the time, but everybody was like, "Holy shit!" It's kind of like that. Like it's same feeling.
And Tarkov promised an open world a long time ago, and they just never delivered.
Yeah.
Well, I guess promised is a loose word. They said they were working on it, and then just never delivered. So this is kind of like what, this is what an extraction shooter was like always meant to be.
Yeah, and granted, Tarkov, for what it is, it works. It's a lot of like, not smaller spaces. I mean, there are some small maps, like Factory is like tiny compared to some of the other maps. But
Fuck Factory.
If you even look at like the new city map, it's not necessarily open world, but it's still an open map.
So let me ask you this. What's their anti-cheat like on this? Because Tarkov is riddled with shit bots.
I have not run into any cheaters yet.
Okay. That's encouraging.
Granted,
did they use BattlEye or?
I think they use their own in-house anti-cheat.
Okay.
I don't recall. Okay. I don't believe when I opened the game I got anything for like BattlEye or Easy Anti-Cheat or anything like that. Because if you think of Easy Anti-Cheat, they have that little like blue window that pops up as the game loads.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that, so I think they're using their own in-house anti-cheat.
Okay.
But again, I've been playing PvE, but all the people that I've been playing with and going through and doing collection missions or just looting for shits and giggles, they're not doing any weird like auto-aim wall hacking type shit on the NPCs that I'm witnessing. So I think their anti-cheat is pretty good. I'm also not seeing a bunch of people in the Grayzone Warfare Discord server saying anything about running into cheaters yet.
So here's what Grayzone needs to do. They need to make a map and put zombies in it and then rebrand and just call themselves the day before Grayzone. Oh my God. And then they've made a better game than what Fantastic could have ever possibly made.
Yeah. They won't do that, but like, yeah. No. I would say gameplay wise, it feels like a good mix of Arma 3's vastness and mechanics and Tarkov's survivability mechanics. So like you need to stay hydrated, you need to eat. If you eat there's this one snack, I forget what it's called, it's like bamboo chips or something like that. If you eat bamboo chips, it actually dehydrates you as you eat them, so you have to then make sure you have stuff to drink. If you take painkillers instead of using like a bandage and a splint, painkillers are good for like a quick pinch if you've been shot in the arm and you're affected by that. And that's the other thing, if you get shot in a specific part of your body, your player is affected by that.
Yeah.
The painkillers will dehydrate you. It's super in depth, but not to the point that it's confusing. That's the other thing I like about it over Tarkov is that Tarkov is so in depth that if you take a break for like 2 months and then go back, you're like, what the fuck is this again?
Yeah. So it's easy pick up, put down then. Unlike Tarkov.
Yeah, there's depth there, but it's easier to pick it back up if you take a quick hiatus than it would have been on Tarkov. I also really like the way that they do concussed mechanics. It actually like it's not overbearing. Like it's actually like the way it would be if you were to get shot in the helmet and the helmet actually protected you for that one bullet that you got. It's your guy's like really blurry and he kind of looks off to the side while you're like trying to get him to shoot forward, which makes sense because if you've just been shot in the helmet like right here, you're kind of gonna look to the side a little bit and be like, oh fuck.
Probably. I don't know. I've never been shot in the fucking head before, so I couldn't tell you. So Tarkov was sold to me as gun porn. So how's the gun porn in this game? Is there like high levels of customization to that gun?
There is. They have a small selection of guns right now. I think they only have like 6 or 7 of them.
But you can build them out how you want.
Yeah, you can basically kit them. There's thousands of different builds that you can put together for each weapon. So there are some weird decisions that they've made, like the M416 that they decided to go for is actually the Chinese variation. So if you go and look at the because you can buy each individual part with in-game currency that you get for like doing quests and stuff like that, and you can build the gun however you want to build it. I want a Glock with a rocket launcher attachment. I don't think that's happening, but that would be fucking hilarious. So if you go and look at like the the receiver for some of the weapons that, when you initially look at them, are American weapons, but then you look at the receiver and it's using a Chinese receiver. And I don't quite understand why they went this route instead of modeling it after the actual like American-made variation of some of these weapons. It could just be that the stuff that they were able to find, like blueprints and things like that, were easier to find under the Chinese variation than they were under the American variations. But if you look up, like,
highly likely.
Yeah, if you look up, if Google Images or whatever, the Grayzone Warfare M416 receiver, and like look up the Chinese version of the gun, it's the exact same.
Gotcha. So this.
Granted, I don't think they're actually like, it matters too much about the mechanic wise them going that route. I'm pretty sure it's just like an art thing, an art decision. But yeah, I just thought like some of that stuff was weird.
This is their most ambitious title they've made.
Yeah.
I didn't realize these were the guys that made Dead Trigger. Like that's not a, that's a fucking mobile game. Like,
a lot of their stuff is mobile game. In fact, I think all of their history is mobile games for the most part.
So yeah, they did Shadowgun Legends, Unkilled, Dead Trigger 1 and 2, Shadowgun Dead Zone, Monzo, Samurai, Way of the Warrior, and Samurai 2 Vengeance. Yeah, so this is definitely like their biggest push. They're based out of the Czech Republic, so yeah, maybe they just have better access to... I mean, realistically, like, America probably has a lot of those designs. If you're trying to be super accurate, I would imagine a lot of that stuff would be harder to find. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it was just easier to get the Chinese built shit. Who knows?
But this game is definitely it's ambitious for sure. But they're treating it respectfully. They're listening to their player base. They're listening to everybody's comments. They're taking feedback non-fucking stop. They just pushed a work in progress patch to their public test server. And they're asking everybody in their Discord to like test, I think it's like 7 different specific things that caused weird game crashes or like glitches, and then report back. So they're like actively working with their player base to fix things and take feedback.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
And that was one of the biggest things that people were like, the majority of your history has all been mobile games. So like the day before.
Yeah.
So
that
the
was
fact
the
that
other reason I was a little hesitant.
Yeah. They initially had planned to flesh out the game more. They're still going to do it. They just decided that it would make more sense in the long run, because they are not working with a publisher, to release the game in early access in its playable state and go from there. They do have a bunch of stuff that's planned for the future. I don't have the full list. I used to have the list. It's pretty big. When this game hits 1.0 release, it's going to have so much shit. The other thing that they're planning to do at some point after 1.0 release is anomalies. So in the center of the map, there is an irradiated zone. And the idea is that they are going to go the stalker route, and they are going to put a bunch of anomalies in there, and you will get quests to hunt down the anomalies, collect samples, things like that, to actually like explore the lore. There's so much planned for this game on their...
Well, we'll see, right? Like,
on their roadmap.
7 Days to Die took 10 years to get out of early access, so as long as they don't take that long, you know. Well, I'll be honest, I'm interested. I definitely want to check it out. I love tactical shooters, you know that, so maybe we'll play this tonight. I do want to talk about the engine, because it is using Unreal Engine 5, and it's, I believe, on 5.3, so it's got a ton of bells and whistles using Nanite and Lumen and all that stuff. For those of you who don't know, Nanite is a very interesting rendering level of detail tech that basically makes it so if there's a rock behind a tree, behind a building, it just doesn't load. But at the same time, it has an infinite number of loading of like detail load capabilities. So that mesh is constantly scaled to be exactly as good as it can look from where you're seeing it.
Yep.
So like the way they contrast that is by it doesn't exist when you don't see it. Lumen is obviously like ray tracing, lighting, stuff like that. So from what I've heard,
not
the game
necessarily
looks
ray
gorgeous.
tracing, but more like path tracing,
global illumination and things like that. Yeah.
They do have ray tracing and stuff like that planned as part of like the feature set for now, but like the game already as is like looks so fucking gorgeous. Even at like medium settings, the game looks so goddamn good.
Well, ray tracing is basically like a fucking plug-in on UE5 at this point. So if they got Lumen, they can easily, they can just fucking turn that on. But it's probably an optimization thing. I could understand them wanting to like hold off. It looks gorgeous. I've heard literally just walking in the game is fun. Which is important for a walking simulator because at its core, like this is still going to be kind of a walking simulator. If that's
the other thing that I've been noticing as I've been playing it is that it being a tactical shooter, I'm kind of falling back into my Tarkov days where I'm like crouching down in fields and wherever I can and taking time to make sure I'm not seen, I'm not getting shot at. When I get into an area that's super like woodsy, if I'm surrounded by like plants of some sort that can hide me, I'll take an extra minute and listen to the environment around me to get information. And while I'm doing that, I'm just like, this is a really pretty tree.
Yep.
But the fact that like the game is as good looking as it is, it definitely doesn't cause that impatience that some people feel when they're taking the extra time to be stealthy, especially because this is a big map. So if your mission is somewhere in like a town, your helicopter drop point is not going to be near the town. You actually have to travel by foot for a good distance. So having that encouragement to like take the time and look at everything on top of being tactical it's a good bonus. Gonna be honest.
Nice.
Yeah. But like I was saying, the game does have its quirks. There is some optimizations that need to be done. DLSS is still hit or miss depending on the card you're using. I'm on a 4090, so I'm not having too many problems, but like one of my friends
curious to see how my 7900 handles it.
Yeah, they do have FSR.
I don't care about that shit.
It's the latest FSR. It's the current up-to-date one with frame gen or fluid motion generation, whatever the hell AMD calls it. It runs really good even on my 4090. So I think that your top-of-the-line AMD card will be able to run this game
it's
pretty
close
well.
To top of the line.
Yeah. The FSR in this game, I will say, is actually like they took the time to go through and actually make it look nice compared to like Dying Light 2, where if you remember, if you've seen videos of Dying Light 2 using FSR or DLSS, everything is great when you stand still, but the second you start moving, which is the point of the fucking game, everything just looks like a pixelated blur.
That's how Last of Us looked, which is why I turned that shit off and just went back to native. Native.
Yeah, they did really good on implementing the AI upscaling. They also have Intel XeSS. So if for some reason you're playing this on a $300 Intel card, I don't know why you would. You can.
Hey, look, man, that's just more people who can play the game, right? Like if you optimize for everything, you can get anybody.
10 frames per second on a $300 Intel card, sure, that's playing.
Sure. Yeah.
Playing PowerPoint.
Look. Look, man, that's what the PvE section's for, right? Just you don't have to worry about players at all.
Jesus Christ.
You're just playing a multiplayer game solo. It's fine.
Am I playing a game or am I looking at the press release kit right now?
Yeah.
Oh, man. But I have, I want to say I have high hopes for the where this game is going to end up, but I will keep my expectations. Yep. I will keep them reserved because I can also see this taking a turn for the worse down the line as well. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's possible. It just gets abandoned. It's possible it never gets that early. I mean, there's early access can be a good thing or it can be a horrible thing. It's really how it comes down. So, speaking of horrible things, that's not a bad segue. I'm pretty okay with that one. Alan Wake 2 released last year, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Wake 2. Oops, that's 3. Alan Wake 2. Released on...
Last year on October 27th.
Yeah, last year, October 27th. Yep. It has been announced by Remedy that they still have not recouped the cost of investment into Alan Wake 2 from sales. That was a big budget game. Honestly, I'm surprised Alan Wake got a sequel so much later after the first one. It felt like a
If
choice
at
in my
all,
opinion.
honestly.
Yeah, it felt like a choice in my opinion. Regardless, it's again, we're seeing this situation where we're seeing more and more cases where larger developers are probably going to shy away from big, risky titles and stick with things that they know are great. Even though 92% of Google users say Alan Wake 2 is fucking amazing, and it did win awards last year, the Game Awards.
Yeah.
It hasn't sold enough. And so, like, what is that going to look like for the outcome for the future of gaming, right? Like,
If I could, I'd like to point out that them not making back their investment amount, that, because here's the thing, the investors get paid regardless. Whether it's a success or a failure, the investors are going to get their money. So if, let's say that Remedy, they put X amount of money into Alan Wake 2, and they make that exact amount of money back. The thing is that all of that money is going to go back to the investors. So Remedy is not going to see much of that money, if any of it. So even if the title says, they didn't make back their investment, it could also mean that the investors are paid off, like they broke even, which means that Remedy has no money from that.
yeah.
But they're also in a position, fortunately for them, where like Rockstar Games is contracting them to remaster Max Payne 1 and 2. I hope they remaster Max Payne 3. I mean, the game still looks good. It holds up at 4K resolutions, especially with all the mods and stuff that you can download for it. And then apparently they're also supposed to be making some like multiplayer competitive shooter, I think, that's supposed to take place in the Control and Alan Wake universe. That's supposed to have just as much lore as Alan Wake 2 and Control already do. So, I don't know. I think they're in a unique spot. I think they'll be okay, even though they're not recuperating the money back that they had hoped to get at this point.
So what's weird is their sales. I'm on their wiki right now. By the end of December 2023, Alan Wake 2 had sold 1 million units, and by February of 2024, it had sold 1.3 million units, making it Remedy's fastest selling game ever. It sold more units and over 3 times more digital units than Control did in its first 4 months. So it sold well, but the cost, it didn't offset the cost. It also won Best Art Direction, Best Game Direction, and Best Narrative of 2023. So it is a known good game. I just hope it doesn't screw them moving forward. I hope that, like, I don't know. I hope they can recover.
I don't think it will.
If they haven't sold, if they haven't sold enough to cover the cost, that's pretty big. And you're right, investors are going to get their money one way or another, which is why investing in video games is very scary in my opinion, because it can close studios. But
really quick, I gotta go take care of something. I'll be right back. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Quick emergency.
Yeah, do your thing. So I don't know. Remedy will try and recover from this. Hopefully, and hopefully the remake. I would like to see full remakes of Max Payne. I remember playing the crap out of those games. Bullet Time was nuts. Ragdolls was nuts. Good games. So I'd love to see those get a full remaster. There is a game currently still in the works that we have not seen anything about really since E3 of 2018. I'm talking about Crygame's Project Awakening. So this game is probably forgotten by most people at this point. Crygames announced this at E3 in 2018. It was a short tech demo, I suppose you could say that. They showed off some gameplay that looked a lot like Dragon's Dogma meets Monster Hunter. Graphically gorgeous. Again, CryEngine. Beautiful engine. Poor optimization. Apparently it's still in development. Kind of. According to an article from PlayStationLifestyle.net, CryEngine's mysterious RPG Project Awakening has not been canceled, as we all thought it had. There's been really no news from them since the E3 trailer from 2018. There was an announcement that it was very likely still in the works for PS5 in 2019. And then recently, it was listed as a generic console title, basically a generic console RPG with an undecided date on its release. Probably not going to release on PS4 at this point. And I can't figure out what the holdup on this game was. I'm wondering if they decided to just postpone development on it entirely until the PlayStation 5 was out. I'm wondering if there was some issues with licensing, deciding the engine, but it's Cry Games, which makes me think, well, why wouldn't you use your own engine? That's like Epic not using Unreal to make a game. It just doesn't make sense. So it's interesting that this game is just now being, as of April 25th, being said that it's still in development when we haven't heard anything in, 5 years now? 6 years, just about? So, yeah, revealed 6 years ago. So, I don't know. I was interested in this game. I thought it was going to be like a Monster Hunter style kind of game. Had I had more time, I would have pulled up the trailer for you guys and had it here. But actually, I can probably just do this and go here. Do this. Project Awakening. So this is the old trailer from... this is an ad, of course, as YouTube is. As you can tell, audio listeners, I am stalling, waiting for Mike to come back, so enjoy the stall as we talk through this. Yeah, I still can't figure out what the holdup on this game was. It looked gorgeous, and then they went dark and didn't say anything. I don't know if they went back to the drawing board. Maybe there was some management issues, art direction, who knows, but like graphically this game was incredibly impressive. Obviously what we're seeing is not in-game graphics by any means, but it had vibes like, I don't know, it felt like it was coming out at the right time to kind of fill what we were all feeling for in, God, what else came out that year? 2018. It just felt like it was filling that gap because Dragon Age was still like gone, right? Monster Hunter was big again after Monster Hunter Worlds. The combat looks smooth. Like it looks great from this if this is actual gameplay. I think Tim and I actually, when this came out in 2018, when we were still the website, we debated on whether or not it was gameplay, because a lot of it, some of the scenes looked very scripted, like when he got bashed against the wall kind of thing. But I want to know more. I want to know where the game is. I want to know what the status is. I want to know what's going on with it. Hopefully we'll hear something, maybe if we're lucky, at Summer Game Show, because it seems kind of fitting that if they're going to come out now and say the game is still in work, maybe that means they got something new to show us. I don't know. Well, I don't have Mike here at this point, so thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. A whole year doing episodes, and we're still fucking them up. So you can look forward to another year of that. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And since Mike's not here and Tim is off doing his thing, tell your mom I said hi.